I'm a little bit of a jokester, and so I think we'll kick this off with a good old dad joke. You know, justice is the dish best served cold. If it were warm, it would be just water. Thank you all for being here and for your time and the opportunity to talk to you about the Mockingbird Society. We are going to begin with reviewing our agenda for today. We want to start with a warm welcome and our land and equity acknowledgement. We will transition to an overview of our mission and vision here at the Mockingbird Society. And then we would like to take time to update you all on the progress we've made in youth programs, as well as officially announce our upcoming 2023 Youth Advocacy Day. After that, we will give space for a Q&A session and close out after. Again, thank you all for taking time to join us today, and I will pass the mic to Emily.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Emily, she, her pronouns. I'd like to start this meeting by acknowledging the original owners of this land, the Duwamish Nation, who through racism and imperialism had their land stolen. We acknowledge that the contributions and forced labor of enslaved Africans, African Americans, and Indigenous people of the United States, as well as opportunities we experience because of the exploitations of these people. I invite everyone to pause, quiet, and reflect as we open with this acknowledgement. We would like to recognize that we are on the land of the Coast Salish, Interior Salish, and Yakama Nation tribes. They have taken care of this land before it was colonized, and they continue to care for, honor, and defend their land. We honor with gratitude the land itself and all of the Native tribes of Washington State. We also would like to recognize the historical and systemic exploitation and oppression of Indigenous peoples, enslaved Africans, and other historically underinvested people, which has led to the disproportionality and representation of these communities among the youth we serve and whose voices we seek to elevate. I ask that we keep this in mind as we work to transform the systems that we have and continue to impact us. Thank you for taking the time to acknowledge the land we are currently occupying, and with that, I will pass the mic to Caitlin.
Thank you so much, Emily. Mockingbird is in a youth and young adults partnership transforming foster care and ending youth homelessness. We unify and uplift the voices of youth experiencing foster care systems and youth homelessness. We advocate to eliminate injustice and change those systems to make a better tomorrow for the youth growing after that. Mockingbird envisions that each and every young person, regardless of race and individual experience, reaches adulthood with an equitable opportunity to thrive. Mockingbird creates, supports, and advocates for racially equitable, healthy environments that develop young people at risk of or experiencing foster care or homelessness by providing professional development, priority of voice, and knowledge and opportunity of advocacy on a legislative level. I will now pass to Elle, who will be speaking on the different programs of the Mockingbird Society.
Thanks, Caitlin. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to see so many participants here. If you don't know who I am, I'm the engagement coordinator for King County. My name is Elle. I use they, them, and she, her pronouns, and I'm joining from Duwamish and Coast Salish land. And here at Mockingbird, going back to what Caitlin is talking about, working towards our vision, we have three main program areas. The first one is our Mockingbird Families, which is the way that we deliver foster care services modeled on the constellation of extended foster or extended family structure. We believe in taking care of people who take good care of our children and youth. Then we have our public policy and advocacy pillar, and this is our department of experts who focus on direct action and systems reform and working on connections to legislation. And then we have youth programs, that's us here today. This includes our Mockingbird Youth Network and the YAP program. The Mockingbird Youth Network is a youth development program with a dual focus on policy, working with our PP&A team, and youth development. We meet here in regional chapters, bringing young people together all across the state, people who have lived experience with foster care or being unhoused from ages 13 to 26. And we help them advocate for and gain access to the resources that they need. We also in this have the YA chapter, which stands for Youth Advocates Ending Homelessness. That's located here in King County. We meet out of the Seattle area, and we focus solely on involving youth and young adults in ending homelessness. And with that, I will pass it back to you, Caitlin.
Thank you so much, Elle. Today, I'm delighted to talk to you about the advocacy cycle. As you see in the diagram above, March through May, we focus on identifying barriers in the foster and homeless systems. June through August, we focus on finding the best solution for the challenge we identified the previous months. We then meet with all of the chapters statewide and focus on presenting our topics at Summit. After we receive feedback from the professionals at Summit, youth in their chapters will reevaluate their asks and/or solutions and finalize them between September and November, which is where we currently are. The fourth and final phase of our advocacy cycle is advocating for change. This takes place from December to February. This final phase of our cycle is the most exciting because that's when we take our proposals that we have worked on throughout the year all the way up to Olympia and advocate directly for legislation to take action. This cycle is entirely youth-led. Every month, each region has a chapter meeting, and they invite youth who have experience with the foster care and/or homeless systems to join. Since they have firsthand experience, their expertise on the subjects of the systems that impacted them is vital to our work. We ask those young people, what can the system do better What can the system do to better the generations of youth behind you? Like one of our founders, Jim Theophilus, says, it's for the 5-year-old who doesn't know they're going to be in foster care the next day. Sometimes the issues we bring to light don't always get past the first time, but that doesn't mean we will ever stop advocating for what's right. And even if you aren't somebody who is directly impacted by these systems, it's still important to encourage others to do so. For example, maybe that 5-year-old is your niece or nephew. Maybe that 5-year-old is your neighbor's child. Maybe that 5-year-old lost their parents in some tragic accident. Something that we can all agree on is that the systems are broken, and Mockingbird uses the voices of those who have been affected to change it and better it and help youth live successful and fulfilling lives when they exit these systems. We recognize the power of youth voice in the change that comes from it. We harness the power of youth voice in these meetings to ensure that necessary change can occur. Now that you know a little bit more about where we are in our advocacy cycle, I'll pass it to Sierra for youth programs updates.
Did anybody else get chills from that? Thanks, Caitlin. I love hearing that story, and it's very true. And the power of youth voice is really impactful. And I'm super glad that you were able to share that with us. But welcome, everybody. My name is Sierra Rogers. I am the Outreach and Engagement Manager, and I'm going to go over with you some youth programs updates, some of the important work that we've been working on in the past year. So this year we have come together as a team to rebuild, strengthen, and develop Mockingbird Society better than ever. On August 2nd of 2022, we had our first Youth Leadership Summit in person since the pandemic shutdowns. I was honored to have young people and staff from across the state come together in Seattle and present our proposed topics to supporters like you. We have continued to recruit, grow our numbers, and prioritize youth voice and input into every step of the work that we do. We have also started transitioning our regional chapter meetings to be in person as well as virtual to provide an accessible hybrid option moving forward. Our State Leadership Council occurred at Mockingbird headquarters, where leaders from each chapter presented on defined proposals, and it was voted for approval by our team. We also shared at the OHY Commission meeting, where we were welcome to present more on the proposals and gain support from public partners and the community. Thank you, OHY, for inviting us there and supporting our work. I am super honored to be working with motivated, passionate, and equipped individuals who have been paving the way for change. Now we will be sharing each proposed legislative item, updates on each, and current direction we are moving forward with. I will now pass it to Sabian to share insight on juvenile record sealing.
Thank you so much for those updates, Sierra. Juvenile record sealing is something that we tried to address last year and is something that is still important to us today. While maintaining the same outcome goals we had last year with our ask to expunge records, we adjusted our approach in reaching those goals. There are 3 main parts to our ask. We want to make record sealing more effective, more accessible, and to create an accountability aspect for organizations who are illegally sharing sealed records. In order to address the effectiveness of record sealing, we have a legislative ask to make all juvenile records equally as confidential as juvenile dependency records. This would heavily restrict who has access to them in the circumstances in which someone could restrict access. From a supporting aspect, we are partnered with STAND, who is working on eliminating fines, fees, and restitutions for juvenile cases, which will address the largest accessibility boundary we've identified with juvenile record sealing, which is exactly those things. In regards to the accountability aspect, we have an administrative ask wanting to work with Justice Barbara Madsen and the Administrative Office of Courts in restricting which organizations and entities receive access to sealed records. For example, if an organization shares a sealed record that they aren't supposed to share, the Administrative Office of Courts can deny them from receiving future records. We recently established a legislative committee including folks from the Office of Public Defense, the Department of Children, Youth and Families, Columbia Legal Services, and American Civil Liberties Union and other stakeholders to clarify these points and identify next steps moving forward. Lastly, a report from the Juvenile Justice Subcommittee from 2021 shows that all of these aspects disproportionately affect Black and Brown youth. This is crucial that it is crucial that our ask and work pertaining to these issues is done through a lens of creating equitable outcomes, and it is something that we hope to address with these solutions. Next, I will pass it over to Emily, who's going to talk to you about minor access to shelter.
Thank you, Sabian. Currently, we in the Peninsula region are working to address the need for youth to be able to seek safe places to stay when they don't feel that their current living situation is safe and or supportive for them. As it stands, youth only have 72 hours to get parental consent when attempting to stay at a shelter, and at times youth aren't able to locate their parent or guardian, let alone get their consent. So this can lead to things like shelter hopping, couch surfing, or other forms of homelessness, which could be detrimental to our youth here in Washington State. So our goal is to create a system where a young person would be able to build a community support team around them that consists first and foremost of themselves, as well as a combination of the following: parent or legal guardian, unless they will create safety concerns or harm for the youth, licensed shelter staff, if applicable, case managers, school personnel, behavioral health supports, or other service providers identified by the youth as a supported part of their team. This team would then meet to assess the safety of the youth, these needs, options for alternative places to stay that can support the youth, such as licensed shelters, host homes, or with friends, family, or relatives. Services would also include economic supports and or specialized case management needed for the youth to maintain a safe space to stay. We've been partnering with the Washington Coalition on Homeless Youth Advocacy to put this together and get it as strong as can be. It's gotten to a point where we're getting a lot of positive feedback and folks feeling like this is the best proposal we've had to address the youth population who are not safe at home, but can't get consent to alternative housing for various reasons. The proposal also has been well received by Representative Tanya Sen in the 41st Legislative District, who has agreed to help us with bill language and support in getting a bill champion to carry us across the finish line. I will pass it to Elle to talk about their work in the King County region.
Thank you, Emily. In the King County region, both the Seattle and the YA chapter have been working together on expanding extended foster care. And EFC really simply was designed to ensure that youth exiting foster care are still financially supported by the state. But the pandemic really exacerbated and revealed some issues with the system right now. And that was chapter members were seeing that people enrolled in EFC are still experiencing houselessness or housing insecurity, food insecurity, and all of these other financial stressors. This all existing while these young adults are holding up their end of the bargain, so to speak, by meeting different employment and education requirements and undergoing regular reassessments to continue receiving any benefits at all. So the chapter's plan is really simply put twofold. One, to remove barriers, and two, to increase payments. So the chapter's goal is to have every young person who needs the benefits actually receive them and to not have to worry about housing. This will be achieved through a proposed bill And with this bill, we're trying to get EFC as close to an opt-out system as possible. So that would involve easing the enrollment process, for example, creating something like an online application portal or a new staff position focused on EFC onboarding. We also want to do this by expanding eligibility to any youth who has been in foster care in Washington, and those who don't meet maybe federal work or school requirements would still have separate allotted funds from Washington State. Youth have also noted that we need to have a kind of tiered approach to ending these benefits. And so our youth advocates have proposed an aftercare system for those aged 21 through 25, ending at 26, which amounts to continued financial aid. These would be an increased monthly payments that are based off of the cost of living that would allow young people more freedom in deciding how they want to go about work, school, and different community engagement on their own terms. And all of this work has been happening within a much larger coalition. There's some familiar faces here today, including people at Treehouse, the Y, Washington Children and Families, and even DCYF. So we're really optimistic about this work going ahead. Senator Wilson has been hugely supportive of our work, and her staff is currently drafting legislation. We are set to meet at the first couple of days of next month. So we're really excited to see where this bill goes. And with that, I will again pass it back to you, Caitlin, to talk about Eastern.
Thank you so much, Elle. Student to Adulthood Readiness Training, or START, is a required course for high school graduation. In this course, students are required to learn the basics of what it's like to live an adult life. And we were hearing a lot of feedback from our youth that they felt that going through high school, that they were not receiving the education necessary to succeed as an adult. So some of the basics will include financial literacy, professional development, basic mechanics, basic cooking skills, and how to access resources in your area. So only 1 credit would be required for this, and youth can take the course at any point in their high school career. Doing this will open more positions in schools for teachers to fill, as well as preventing homelessness in youth. And the youth who are already in the systems are prevented from learning these basics because foster parents don't usually take on the responsibility. Some like 69% of guardians and parents in general don't discuss finances and things like that with their youth. By making it a high school requirement for all youth, everyone will be given a chance at a successful adulthood. And this proposal is an early preventative strategy to end youth homelessness and build support for young people in schools. Sierra will now present on work being done with the financial capability ask.
Absolutely. Thank you, Caitlin. So financial capability is a direct need for providing youth with the knowledge to have access to that financial education. We're wanting to pass legislation directing DCYF to establish an account for youth in foster care ages 14 and up with a monthly allowance deposited into that account. This gives young people in need the freedom to use these funds in ways that best support them while removing the barrier to having those secure funds. I had the opportunity to be invited by Barbara Maxwell from Walla Walla to speak on access to bank accounts and talk on a forum where other statewide were providers on financial education access. GISA Credit Union currently allows youth 14 and up to open bank accounts, and shared at that forum how it works and provided that assurance that there is legality in their process and encourages others in that area to support that need. And as a standard, we are wanting youth to access financial education starting at the age of 12. Places in the state have added it to their learning curriculum. Someone at that forum actually shared with me that they started putting it in their learning curriculum as soon as 8 years old to teach about access to finances, counting money, credit, and things like that. We want to include an incentive payment for this access, and we want to grow a financial capability work group to expand on this conversation and ask. Currently, we are looking to gain support from Senator Nobles. There are waves being made, and we're looking forward to continuing support in this ask. And now I'll pass it back to Caitlin to talk about Mockingbird Family's decision package.
Thank you so much, Sierra. In this decision package, DCYF is requesting $4.5 million to assist in statewide implementation of Mockingbird family. This includes 8.5 full-time DCYF employees to implement and oversee of Constellation statewide, funds to train 3 private child placing agencies to successfully implement Mockingbird family, funding and staff to support the launch of 15 constellations across Washington, and funds 15 current constellations that support families and youth. From Seattle to Spokane, families, staff, legislators, and community members have asked for the growth of constellations in their communities. The inclusion of $4.5 million in the 2023 to 2025 financial budget would allow foster families and youth all around Washington state to benefit from a world-renowned and well-evaluated community of support. And I will now pass the mic to Sharn.
Thank you, Caitlin. Hello, everybody. My name is Sharn Carr, and I am the Director of Youth Programs. So over the past year, we've partnered with young people and the community to do the exceptional work that you all have heard about today. Now it's time to take these ideas and solutions and advocate for them in Olympia. Mockingbird is happy to announce that Youth Advocacy Day will be February 3rd, 2023. So this is after 2 long years, we will be in person with remote options available. The program portion will take place at the Olympic Ballroom, and then we'll march in community over to the Capitol, where legislative meetings will take place. I'm going to now pass it back over to Sierra and Emily, who will share all the ways that you all can support us with Youth Advocacy Day 2023.
Thank you, Sharn. So I'm going to give you all some examples of ways to get involved because we need you. So one of the big asks that we have or ways that you can get involved is to become a group lead and or a participant at Youth Advocacy Day. So we're wanting group leads and participants for YAD because it allows these conversations in groups to be happening within these districts. So we divide everybody up and ask for support and passing of this bill or these proposals. We actually provide 2 trainings in January that help group leads know what to expect. And each group at YAD will be speaking with representatives and legislators and different community partners to provide descriptions on our ask while participants fuel those conversations. They report back to see if we have support from these individuals and what we can do next. And the Mockingbird Society follows up in hopes for our proposals to be passed. We would love for you to register for our newsletter at mockingbirdsociety.org if you haven't already. And this is where we're able to give you all of the latest updates on events and what TMS is currently working on. Also, if you're interested in supporting our proposals or want to give any sort of feedback or education or input, you can always reach out to us at yp@mockingbirdsociety.org. Or if you just want to actively join our coalitions and committees, that's where you can inquire about that there as well. And of course, always stay tuned for what's next. And Emily, if you could you go over with the group what the big asks and specifics are?
Yes. So our big asks are, our YAD's going to be epic. First of all, it's going to make even more awesome. We have some big asks of everyone. We would love help with our YAD. We are needing group leads and participants like Sierra mentioned. We also need your name and contact information. You can opt out, providing us with any of that. But if you are using that link or QR code, but if you want more information, you can register for the newsletter on our website if you haven't already. Lastly, we always ask to refer youth. Youth Voice is #1. I also heard that there might be some internal opportunities at the Mockingbird Society. So Sarah, could you share a little bit more on that?
Of course. Now, if you're obsessed with TMS as much as we are and want to join the team internally, we are hiring. So first, I want to share that we have our network representative positions, which are part-time youth positions. They work on the Mockingbird Times. That way we can get that enrolled out and support the regions in general. And we would just love for young people to keep working with us at every step of the way. We also have an accountant position open at Mockingbird, an administrative coordinator position, and a development and community engagement manager. We want to have a well-rounded team, and we would love to interview people. And if you're interested in applying, you can email jobs@mockingbirdssociety.org or apply on Indeed. I first want to say thank you all for joining our open house and registering and getting the word out. I want to thank the youth leaders that are here helping today. Caitlin and Emily have been so awesome just with topic development and being part of every step of our conversation. And I'm just very thankful that they're here. I want to thank the engagement coordinators for being stellar facilitators and advocates for the team. I want to thank our comms and development and Mockingbird family and PPNA for the collaborative work that's been happening as well. And I want to thank each and every one of you for supporting Mockingbird and being here and listening and being involved. That's kind of where all this work starts. And we want to continue to have these conversations. So for general questions, you can always email me at sierrarogers@mockingbirdssociety.org. On the PowerPoint, you can see our regional map. In the northern region, which is the gray region, we have Sabian at mockingbirdssociety.org, and you can talk to Sabian more about the record ceilings for juveniles. In the King County area, which is the orange region, you can email l@mockingbirdssociety.org for more info on expanded extended foster care. In the eastern region, you can contact Ryan at mockingbirdssociety.org for more info on START. In the central region, you can contact our new hire, Eduardo at mockingbirdssociety.org for more info on financial capability. And in the peninsula region, we have Nicholas, and you can contact Nicholas at mockingbirdssociety.org and talk more about minor consent to housing. I want to say thank you again, everyone, for being here. And we want to continue having these conversations and really ramp up for our Youth Advocacy Day. Caitlin, could you wrap us up?
That's a wrap. Thank you all again so much for joining us, and I hope to see you all more in the work we have in store. Have a good day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.